Welcome to the Black Man Perspective. I'm Gary Johnson. We got Omar Tyree, of course, in the house. Omar, how you doing, brother?
Hey man, hanging on in there, man. The weather's changing fast down here in Charlotte. Now, my thermostat up to 79. I said, wait a minute now, I got to bring it back down. I got to put the air on, got to put the daggone fan on, so it's getting hot already. And it ain't even March yet.
As Nelly would say, getting hot in her.
Yeah,
So, so what is going on? I see you got a new column up on the site
yeah.
about, tell us about that. Tell us what's going on.
Charlemagne the God, young hip hop journalist. Well, he's not young anymore. He's been out here for a minute.
The Breakfast Club,
Yeah. But he put out a book last year, Get Honest or Die Lying. And the reality is, everybody's going to die lying, brother. That a simple comment to your wife: "Do you like this dress? Do you like this?" Do you? It automatically, dude. And you're sitting there thinking, "Do I want to ruin her day with my honesty?" You know what I mean? So it's like, and they call them little lies, and then you got the big lies, and the human life, man. We can't take it. You go back to that daggone Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. Nobody, man. If a woman tells us something that we don't want to hear, brother, it's gonna be in our head for the next 2 weeks, next couple years. So I wrote a column on that. Would an honest man and woman please stand up? Because that's a hurtful world that you about to stand. And I've been an honest man for a long time, but now I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, you know what, dude? Let me listen to everybody else and just do the comfortable lies that can make life a lot more easier as we get older. And it's still the same thing. Old people can't take the truth. Young people can't take the truth. So that's the column I wrote on this week.
So you picking your battles, basically. When you get those questions, you kind of weighing it out. What do I got to do to
Well,
for the
that just
answer?
happened. That just happened, man. Like I'm going through it now. Like, like God is telling me, Omar, I know you made a whole career off of telling the truth, but it's going to get really uncomfortable with where you need to go now if you keep doing that. And so every friend I got, say this to the man, say this to the loan officer, say this to the daggone the Hollywood people, say this to the women, say this to the book writers, say this to everybody got a lie for you, and it's no shame in it. I mean, it's good advice for people. Like, this is what you say, and you know it's a lie. They know it's a lie, but this is what you say to get the deal done.
But the problem is, if you tell so many of them, you can't keep up with all of them, and that's circles back to being honest. Because if you tell the truth, I know you're going to have a penalty. You may get some blowback, but at least you know what the story is.
All right. Well, when you're in business, it don't work like that. Everybody knows this is what I want, but I got to do one, two, three before I can get to four, right? And then one,
True.
two, three are all lies to get to four, because you can't come right out and say four, because then the person on the other side, oh, well, you just want to do this. So you got to BS them with the spin cycle and go one, two, three before you get. Dude. At 55 years old, Gary, it's like, wow. And we live our whole lives with that nonsense. And so that's what it is, man. I wrote that out with an honest man and woman, please stand up. Because
Please stand up.
we all going to die lying, man. You can't get away from it.
Well, one of my mentors put it to me this way. It just came in my head. Floyd Dickens Sr. He said, "Don't get mad, get strategic." So I think we're telling those little with shade and stuff to make sure we get what we need to get our needs met, and maybe not hurt people's feelings, so we can just keep it moving. Just keep it moving, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the penalty for? I mean, we talked a little bit about it a few minutes ago. The penalty for being honest from a brother's standpoint. I'm wondering for the sisters, what's the
Yeah.
penalty?
Well, number one, we've been taught to lie since we were kids, brother. I don't know about you in DC, but in Philly, when you talk to the old head brothers, do not tell that girl this. This is what you tell her. Do not say that there. And then you tell some of your uncles and the old heads in the community what you said to mess up. No, man, you don't say that. You tell her this. You tell her that. And so something as simple as trying to get a girl after school, right? And you say, hey, man, come on over there. And you've been talking to her for months, so you ready for that next stage around the bases, right? But the old heads tell you, do not tell her you trying to round the bases. Do not tell her that. Tell her you're going to watch videos, put the VCR in, and then you make your moves when you get her over there. Do not let her know that you're going to make no moves. Please don't do that, or she's not going to come. And then the girls tell you, as soon as you say, well, we've been talking for 3 months. I figured it's time to go to that. I'm not coming over your house for that. Get out of there. I'm not going there. And then the old head tell you, I told you not to tell her that. You tell her you're going to watch TV, and then you make her. And so we've been lying, brother, since we was kids. And you get punished for it because them girls will respond exactly how the older brothers said they're going to respond. And then you learn how to lie to get something. And then we've been doing that even as grown married men. Look, man, that's the way my wife feels. I'm not going to change her mind, so I just deal with it. So even when you don't like something, you ain't going to say nothing because at the end of the day, I can't change her mind, so I'm going to leave her alone. I don't want to create an argument. It is what it is. And so we just fold our hands, dude. That's what it is. And no matter how old you get, the other person can't take what you got to say. It's the same thing with women, but I'm not a woman, so I don't know what lies, they got to tell. But of course, a lot of it, if you talking about you ain't in the mood, a lot of times women will say, it's that time of the month all the time. When you in college and in high school, that was the one they're going to use well, my girlfriend's in town. So I mean, ain't no getting away from lying, man, male or female, because you got to figure out how am I going to get out of this without pissing the other person off.
Yeah, go along to get along. You're figuring out a way. Figuring out a way.
Go along to get along. But when we do
Man.
too much of that, now you end up in a bad shape because that person's got used to you going along, and then when you got to put your foot down, all of a sudden you can't. You know what I mean? So that's the problem there. But when you put your foot down all the time, now you done made it so unbearable for the people around you. They don't like you and they don't want to be around you. And I was around that kind of man. I had a stepfather that was raw and hard. And my mother's family did not like being at the house at all because he was raw and hard, and he's still that way. And of course, a lot of that rubbed off on me. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can get raised by a truth sayer, and then you learn how to be as hard as that truth sayer is. But now I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, you know what, dude? Maybe I just need to back up and relax and stop all the truth saying because, yeah, it creates more roadblocks and hurdles and hard conversations when people talk about you.
Yeah, because if you go along all the time and then you change gears suddenly, they're like, well, wait a minute. Why are you stopping now? You've always done it this way. You've always said this.
Yeah.
And so you kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't,
Yeah.
So it becomes a question of balance. Seems to be what I'm hearing is a question of balance. Yeah, but that's relationships, man. And a lot of your books focus on relationships.
Well, it's not just relationships. You can talk about a job. How many times we lie when we go in there together? How much did you make last month? Where do you live at now? Boy, you go in there with all the great lies, boy, to get that job. You ain't going in there. Well, I haven't worked in about 5 months. Well, I really don't like working here. Well, I'm only working here because I want the money right now. I'm going to quit soon. You ain't saying that. But that's what you're thinking. I need a better job, but I got to get started. So I'm coming in. You better not tell that man that. You better not tell that woman that when you being interviewed. So we lie all the time, man. It's like it's a part of life. And so that daggone Charlemagne the guy, if I ever get on his show, I'm going to tell him right to his face, brother, you still ain't telling the truth. Nobody can tell the truth all the time. If your wife asks you something and you want to do on the ropes right there, you're going to think like, do I tell her the truth or do I get off the ropes right now? And you're going to get off the ropes right now. You know what I mean? So there ain't nobody telling that much truth no more.
Oh, man. So what's going on with Hot Lava?
Well, Hot Lava Entertainment, I'm looking at, the Fly Girl books are coming back out, and I'm getting into the whole Fly Girl brand thing. So I'm going to do that. And then I got another hip hop design that I'm going to do for guys, and I'm going to put that out. But I'm not going to say the name because I don't want nobody jumping on the name. But Fly Girl has already I've been doing that forever with the double Y. So anybody try to jump on that is crazy because it's well attached to my name. And I already did a trademark, copyright, and all that. And it got Fly Girl stuff a million times all over the place. So you would be crazy to go after that one. So, that one's fine. But the new one with the hip hop stuff, that's something I'm going to push. And then the Hot Lava, I'm thinking about doing a couple songs with young artists, and a couple things that I want to get out there. One dealing with the hip hop brand too, do a song for it and then put all the brand stuff in the video so you can push it. The video becomes advertising and marketing. So that's what's going on with Hot Lava. I've had it since 2002. And that's like my main brand,
Yeah, because you from a business perspective and branding, people need to understand, and what by me having known a lot of writers and interviewed a lot of writers, you got to do more than just write a book. You got
Yeah.
to be able to promote it, publish it. You got to have you better be about the business of business. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, right now, the business of publishing is changing because of social media. Now they want you to have your own popularity and make it happen. Now, when I first was getting published in the 90s, they would make it happen for you. You come in with an excellent book, Brother Gary, and they like, all right, we're going to set up the tour, we're going to set up the market, we're going to get you interviews. Now you come in, they like, okay, what interviews can you get? How many social media files do you have? How much can you do on your own? Because we don't want to spend any money now. So
Right.
now all of corporate America has become spoiled because of what, social media have been able to do for young people. So now they're like, well, heck, if he got 5 million followers, all we got to do is market. In fact, we don't have to do nothing. He can market to his own followers. We would love to sell 5 million units. But 10% is what they typically say. 500,000 copies of a book is a bestseller out the gate. Okay, so now it's really changed where you can't really count on publishers or the companies to do anything. You have to have your own team. So everybody has become more vain. Everybody has to talk more. Everybody has to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's crazy, man, that they're turning out that type of vanity all over the place where you have to be popular first before you can do anything. Well, if you didn't do anything yet, Gary, what are you popular for? So now these kids are becoming popular for whatever they can become popular for before they can do any skill thing that people want to pay them for. So now the skill has become how to make myself popular and how to get people to follow me. That is a new golden skill of our children.
How does that impact the product, though? Has the quality of the product, like in terms of writing and editing, has that diminished?
Well, if it gets to the publishers, they're still going to do what they're supposed to do. But
Okay.
if you have a person that self-published to get popular, I did the same thing. I self-published, but that was years ago where it wouldn't get as big as it's going to get now. So I sold 25,000 copies of Fly Girl back in 1993 to 1995, and I got a bigger deal. Now I had editing marks and all that. I had editors that I paid, but when you're paying people, you're still going to have some stuff that they miss. When I
Right.
got with Simon and Schuster, they had 5 editors on the same book. And so every time I finished, they sent it to a new one. I didn't have money to pay for 5 different people, brother. I'm like, I'm paying for 1 or 2. I don't have $500 5 times for 5 people. So with editing, it's always going to be tough. But once you get to the publishers, they have professional editors that they pay a higher premium because they have that capital. But now with the vanity people, they have to put it out there. So yeah, some of the stuff is going to be raw. Some of it's going, but that's what the people like. Same thing happened with music, Gary. We had so many kids doing stuff in their own, basement studio,
Yep.
and they weren't great mixers. So we had this mumble mouth stuff where the vocals weren't clean because they didn't know how to EQ the bass and the treble and the vocals, which of course, when you go to any studio, that's the first thing they do is make sure you're clean and crisp and clear. But these young dudes mixing in the basement, oh, that sounds good. And so now the labels are like, hey, man, they ain't even mixed this thing, but the people like it because they got it straight to the people because of social media or streaming or whatever they
Yep.
get it to them. And so that influenced the industry of music where they're like, hey, let it be a little raw, let it be a little grimy, let it be a little, because that's what the kids like, because that's how they heard it first time. So they don't want it squeaky clean and all cleaned up and all that stuff. So it's impacting everybody when people have to do it on their own, because then the people on the other side get used to that rawness. And then the corporate people have to give it the same rawness when they put it out.
So, man, you've been around for over 3 decades. So, how has your has your target audience changed? And if so, how?
I don't know what the target audience is anymore, to be honest with
Okay.
you,
Okay.
because you get older and, you start thinking about your older group. But here's the deal. I wrote a lot of books about young characters. So now we already read all them books. We older people now. But the characters are still young going through the lesson. So what
Right.
you gonna say that the Bible is only for people that died 2,000 years ago? We've been reading the Bible over and over and over and over. So I look at it now and say the books got to be for young people to learn the lessons that I wrote about 20 years ago. because we already know them lessons. Or we either learned it or didn't learn it. We still learn them. But those books that I wrote about teenagers and people in their 20s, we got teenagers and people in their young 20s now that still need to go through those lessons. So when you
Yeah.
ask me a question like that, man, if I got older books where I did things that still connect to younger people, then that's the audience. So when you ask me that question, now it becomes confusing. Like, okay, what do I say? Because the people that's watched my audience already read the material. And unless I'm putting out new stuff, now with the new stuff I do come out with, the older people will be the audience. But not with the Fly Girl that's coming back out with Fly Girl for the Love of Money and Boss Lady. That stuff is very valid for girls in their teenage years and their 20s. Very valid because they're all running around talking about being boss ladies now. And that wasn't the case with the women that we were coming up with. They had just started it. Now it ain't starting it. Everybody got it in their mouth. So it's a different generation. And I luckily wrote for that years ago. But now you got to market to those younger people. And here we go with social media again. So now I got to open up the can of social media worms to get to those younger people.
My sense, and correct me if I'm wrong, this social media thing in you, is it kind of contentious or is it just different?
Well, you know, if the young people use it in a way where they figure out that, you know, drama sells, then they're going to be dramatic with it. They got this word toxic that they've been using for a while. You know what I mean? They got a lot of words they use. So these kids are going to keep using new words, just like we had slang words in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Now they're going to have slang words for all these social media stuff. But we're not really from that generation. We're learning how to use it. So they're always going to lead with all the new stuff that's going on because they're the ones that's growing up with it. And so even with the cell phone, my kids learned how to manipulate that cell phone like I wouldn't believe, dude, because they grew up with it. Where every time the iPhone comes out with something new, I'm like, come on, man, stop changing my phone. You know, but the kids get excited about it. They like the new gadgets. And so they learn it. They play with it all day. I don't have time to be playing with no phone, Gary. I'm just trying to call people and do what I need to do on it. I'm not trying to be sitting here figuring it out again. But the kids love it every time you give them something new.
Yeah, you ain't playing games on your phone and doing all that other stuff. Just call me, and you know, and you text me. Just get in touch with me. But let's talk. We from the generation. Let's talk.
Yeah,
let's
now
talk.
you got to do the Zoom stuff. So now I got to comb my hair. I got to put a shirt on. I got to clear the sleet out my eyes. Yeah, I got to get the sleet out my mouth. You know what I mean? I can't look crazy and dusted, you know, because then people, oh man, it's just on the phone. Like, nah, man, you get on the daggone phone, they can see what you look like, especially if it's a new conversation. So that's what they've added to the game, man. Vanity is at an all-time high right now, man. And you know, I used to be, I thought I was vain because I was always pushing product, but now when I really look at it, I was pushing the product through me. I'm Omar Tyree. I wrote this. I did this. I'm not saying I'm Omar Tyree. Look at me. Look at me. I wasn't doing that. I was pushing product through me. Now you are the product. And that's the difference. These kids are the product. And then whatever they pushing, if I like you as the product, then I'll buy what you got too. And that wasn't, I was pushing the product through me. You know, I wasn't trying to get you to like me per se. But now, if they don't like you, brother, it's hard to push anything. And that's the new world that we're in now.
Man, Omar, I tell you, man, in the time we got left, we got to wrap up a little bit. You know, we got the Thought Brothers coming around, but your column on blackmeninamerica.com is catching. We have an archive section. And so for people, they get on the homepage, they see your latest article, they click, they go there, they see all the videos. So people who are new can catch up on the articles, you know, that you've written, and they can stay close, man. We got all your look, speaking of social media, all of your social media links are there. We make it easy. All they got to do is click and they can follow you and they can judge for themselves, you know. There are a lot of people who are raised whose culture is more, I don't know, it's just different. So I try not to say is bad or negative, but it ain't right or wrong, it's different. And it's just like when I saw Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime performance for the first time, I was like, whoa, this ain't for me. I don't get it. But then I had some people on the show, and now I'm thinking, okay, I see the symbolism, you know. So look here, man, and We're going to get back, but this is the Black Man Perspective with Omar Tyree. Go see him at Hot Lava Entertainment on blackmeninamerica.com. Omar, we will see you next week. Hang on, brother.
Can we talk for a minute? Boy, I want to know your name. Can we talk for a minute? Boy, I want to know your name. Last night I saw you standing, and I started pretending I knew you, and you knew me too.